Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Dan's Pro Shop, where everything's made up and the instructions don't matter. Yes, sir, they matter just about as much as you care about returning that rental car in the same shape as what you picked it up. Everybody knows it's just a glorified bumper car. You don't care about that thing. Hey, today we're talking about putting fittings into rubber hose. And if you're familiar with the traditional way to do this, you would put a barbed fitting into the end of this hose and use a hose clamp, one of these worm style things that are pretty much guaranteed to leak or rot out over the years. So we've put a man on the moon, and believe it or not, we found a better way to do this exact same thing. Let's take a look at the bench and see what we got going on. Well, just like I mentioned in the intro there, this is a traditional style hose clamp fitting where you would have a barb just like this with these small serrations here that would grip the inside of this rubber hose, and then you would rely on the compression of a worm style hose clamp to crimp this hose down onto these barbs and create a water/airtight fitting. Well, these things can be cumbersome and, let's be honest, kind of crappy and old-fashioned to use this. There is a far better way to do this with the combination of a new style large flare fitting and this awesome hose made by Continental called Instagrip. This is great stuff, and it pairs beautifully with these new style large flare fittings. Let's see how this goes together and how much better it can come out than this huge chunk of crap. Now, this thing right here is an installation jig for this system. You don't need one, but man, it really improves the whole process here. This guy right here is a blade that can cut your hose really neat so you have a nice and square cut at the end. And then this whole setup, this cam lock, retains your hose, and you use this lever arm here to press the fitting into the hose, so it makes this entire operation seamless. So step one, you grab your hose in question here. You can cut the end of it off nice and square. It's super easy and user friendly. Look how nice and clean that cut is. Once you have your hose cut to the length that you want, you insert it into this cam lock, insert your fitting, and press it all together. So from doing this over the years, I've found, take a little bit of mineral oil. I know this is dirty, but it's laying around the shop. It really doesn't matter. This is kind of like tires. The wetter, the better. You get this thing a little looby-dooby, and it'll go together so much easier. So put a little mineral oil onto your fitting and start working it into the end of this hose. You can see that it just barely fits in there, and sometimes you have to work to get it started. So once you get your fitting started into the end of the hose, lock down your hose into this cam lock that will not allow the hose to get pressed along with the fitting. Have everything lined up in your jig here, grab the handle, and simply press the fitting into the hose. And when you're finished, you have this nice clean setup with this collar here that gets pressed against the end of the hose to not only protect the end of the hose, but it gives you a really clean finished product. Now, like I said before, you don't need this jig to do this. You can just manually press this together. But this thing greatly improves how this whole thing happens, and honestly, it's easier on you to do it. And I don't know about you guys, but if I had to pick between this and this, it's pretty much a no-brainer which one is neater, cleaner, and better. And I've been using these things for years, and they are pretty much foolproof. You cannot pull this thing out. You have to destroy the end of this hose to get this fitting apart, and they work great. So if you guys are interested in improving the way that you terminate fittings into rubber hose, try this system out and let me know what you think. Until next time.